it's me. So today, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be making a drum bag, and this is going to be a tutorial and not a vlog, although, you know, if you don't plan on making this ever, I guess it's a vlog for you. But yes, if you haven't already seen my last video, and I'll link it right here, is I recently made a new hand drum, and I need a way to store it, transport it, and that way that I do that can also be cute, I think. So yes, here I have a 13-inch hand drum, and I'm going to make a bag for it, and you know, you could do that too. So let's go through the materials that you need real quick. So first thing is material. So here I have just a bunch of Maingenic all over this. This is just a cotton, and what I'm going to be lining it with is some muslin. I know it's like just a big pile, but that's just because it's cut in all sorts of shapes. There's enough here for me to use it though. Let's see. Next, you're gonna need some quilt batting. Here, I'm not that familiar with quilt batting, but this diagram here tells me that I have low loft. So if you want the same thing that I'm using, it'll be low loft quilt batting. I always forget to mention in my tutorials that I link everything down below. So I'll have this linked in the description, as well as zipper. You're gonna need about 24 inches of zipper, and what I have is just this big roll. So if there's no zipper options that are that long, consider one of these rolls. Again, I'll have that linked in the description. And then two optional things that you can get, let me just reach real quick. It's just any kind of string. Really doesn't matter. This is not going to be on the project. It's just functional to help you draw a circle. And then some paper, so you can draw out a circular pattern piece. That way you don't have to risk wasting any fabric trying to get that circle made. So yeah, I have all the instructions written out here, all the measurements, everything. First thing that we're gonna do is make a pattern piece using that paper. This right here. And then we will cut out fabric and then get to putting the drum bag together. Cool, so first thing I'm doing is drawing a circular pattern piece on paper because it's easier to draw a good circle on paper than on fabric. My drum is 13 inches in diameter, so I want to make a 15-inch diameter circle, which includes a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I've linked a calculator in the description to help you calculate the circumference and radius based on whatever size your drum is. Just add 2 inches. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to draw a circle, but here I'm using a string the length of the circle's radius, which is 7 inches. It's easier to wrap each end of the string around your finger and your pen, but I'm just difficult sometimes. And when you're done drawing the circle, go ahead and just cut it out. I'm cutting 2 pieces with the pattern. If you're using the same fabric for the inside lining, then cut 4. However, make sure you pay attention to the direction of your pattern throughout the project if your fabric has a pattern, so you don't end up with it going up and down on one part but sideways on another. Here I'm cutting 2 more pieces of cotton muslin for the inside lining. You don't need to do this if you cut 4 pieces of your other fabric. I'm adding a pocket to this bag, which is optional, so skip this part if you don't want a pocket. Here I took the paper pattern piece and folded the top to form an incomplete circle. Then you'll cut 2 pieces of this. Again, be mindful of the direction of your pattern. Next is the batting. I'm cutting 2 pieces with the pattern and then trimming them slightly smaller because they don't need seam allowance. I trimmed off 1 inch from the diameter, but in hindsight I suggest only trimming a 1/2 inch. Next, for the strap, I'm cutting a piece 3 inches wide and 33 inches long. This makes a shorter handle, so cut the strap longer if you need. Now for the middle strip that connects the circular pieces. It will be divided into 3 sections, one on the bottom and 2 at either side of the zipper on the top. Here I'm cutting 2 rectangular pieces, 4.5 inches wide and 24.5 inches long. For the top 2 sections, I'm cutting 2 rectangular pieces, 5.5 inches wide and 24.5 inches long. This will seem too wide, and that's because it is. This gives us plenty of wiggle room for attaching our zipper. We'll trim off the excess later. Here I'm cutting 1 piece of batting for the bottom section of the middle strip, a rectangle 4.5 inches wide and 24.5 inches long. Now it's time to get sewing, and first we're going to do the strip. Take your strip and fold the 3 inches and half right sides together, then stitch the long side but not the short sides. I stitched about a 1/4 inch seam here. To turn out the strap, I took a yarn needle and thick thread, stuck the needle through one end of the strip, which, heads up, can leave a big hole, then tie the thread, insert the needle into the strip and feed it all the way through to the other end. Then pull the string, working the end so that it folds in on itself, and keep pulling until the entire strip is right side out. Iron the strap flat, then do a top stitch on both sides about a 1/4 inch from the edge. Here I'm measuring out the length of zipper I need, and that is going to connect the 2 pieces of 5.5 by 24.5 inch pieces. To do that, attach each side of the zipper to each piece of the fabric, right sides together so that you can turn the seam in. Use the zipper foot for your machine and prepare to have to stop and move the zipper head out of the way to finish sewing the zipper on. Here's a tip. Zip the zipper all the way closed and lay the fabric pieces right sides together. This will help you be sure that you're matching the other side of the zipper and not sewing it on wonky on the other piece of fabric. This is just to ensure it matches though, so still line up the edge of the zipper with the edge of the fabric even if it seems wider. Then iron the seams facing away from the zipper. Also be careful ironing if you're using a plastic zipper. You don't want to melt the head or the teeth. Now for the bottom section of the middle strip. Sandwich the batting in between the fabric, wrong sides together. You can do a quick stitch here to hold them together if you want, but I skipped that. Next, we're going to connect the bottom section to the top section by stitching the short sides, as well as inserting each end of the strap into the seams. The top section is going to be wider than the bottom section, so match up their middle points. This is also considered right sides together, which means the inside of the sandwich will be the outside of the bag, so you want to insert the strap inside the sandwich. Also, make sure your strap isn't twisted up. I also stitched back and forth a few times on the strap just to ensure it doesn't rip out in the future. Another tip, since you can't sew over a zipper head and you need the zipper closed in order to stitch, move the zipper head away and pin the zipper closed. Now we need to make the top and bottom sections the same width, so lay them flat, ensure your strap is way out of the way, and trim each side of the top section. Don't iron the seam open, iron the seam towards the bottom section. Next is the pocket. If you're not doing a pocket, skip ahead to this timestamp, but it's super simple. Lay the pieces right sides together and then stitch only the flat edge. Then iron the seam open, flip the seam so the pieces are wrong sides together, and iron flat again, and then top stitch the flat edge. Next, I need to attach the pocket to a circular piece. So make sure to match the direction of the pattern on your fabric and then stitch only the curved edge. Now that we have formed the pocket, Turn over the circular piece and place the circular batting on its wrong side. Then place the muslin, or whatever inner lining you chose, on top, sandwiching the batting. To make assembling the bag easier, I'm stitching this sandwich together a 1/4 inch away from the edge. This prevents me from having to fiddle with so many different layers later on. Once you've repeated the same steps with the other circular pieces, you'll have a front piece and a back piece. Next, we need to assemble the front and back pieces with the middle strip. First, I'm pinning the strap out of the way so it doesn't get caught in any seams. The following process is to ensure the bag is assembled evenly. Again, paying attention to the direction of my fabric's pattern, I'm folding the circular piece in half to find a top and a bottom. Then I'm matching the seams of the middle strip to find a top and bottom, and then matching those top and bottom points of each piece and pinning them together. Then I'm folding the circular piece in half the other way to find a left and a right, and then I'm matching those points with the seams of the middle strip and pinning together. From here, you'll have 4 even sections that you can then pin together. Once you get the entire circle pinned, stiff a 1/2 inch seam all the way around. Then follow the same steps with the other side, attaching pieces right sides together and again watching for the direction of your fabric's pattern. I also did a quick check to make sure I liked how it fit the drum and to see if I needed to do a bigger or smaller seam, but I ended up sticking with the 1/2 inch seam. Now the bag is basically complete, except I want to fray block the inside seams, so you can use whatever fray block method you like, but here I'm just clipping the seams with some pinking shears. I also added an extra stitch on the edge of each zipper seam just for extra fray blocking measures. Turn this baby right side out and bam! You have yourself a nice bag for your Mishoomis drum. For the stick, what I've always done, and I've seen others typically do, is you store your stick inside the drum between the lacing and the flat side. I'm not sure what I plan on putting in this pocket, but it couldn't hurt to have one. I would, however, like to attach a button to this pocket, putting a hole in the outer flap and then sewing the button into the main piece of the bag. So yeah, I hope you liked this tutorial. I hope it was helpful or entertaining, and I'll see you on the next one. Bama Pequabin.